read your book that I was going to ask you about. But let's start about the premiere last week and today's second episode. Now, a firehouse turning into a family home. I
Hmm.
love the high ceilings.
It's amazing. Those ceilings were hidden under They were hidden above. I always say under. They were hidden above drop ceilings. So someone back in the day didn't love them so much and covered them up. So it was really fun to uncover them and make them the focal point of the room.
We have a new season, a new episode today. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, the new episode tonight is a family, Megan and Enrique, and they are an amazing family. Enrique actually lost his father a few weeks, maybe months before, and this house was really the house that his father knew was hidden behind a little forest. And he was a contractor, and he taught Enrique the trades, and he wanted to basically they wanted to kind of honor him by purchasing this house, and it's kind of this really amazing full circle moment for the family, to buy this house. This was really a family house. Enrique and Megan have two children, and they wanted to live in a grand old mansion, and they
Mhm.
bought this for I think $125,000. And this house was untouched for about 10 years. His father knew that it exists behind the woods there, but it really was untouched for about 10 years. We had posted this on our Instagram feed, and there was a few people interested in this house once this kind of actually hit the market. And then we were able to actually, on our side, work with them, Megan and Enrique, on helping them fix up this house. So for us, it was a full circle moment because we posted this house months before. And then for them, they were able to honor their father's history and knowledge of this house.
People, we post houses all day long for sale for under $150,000 on Instagram. Most of them actually under $100,000. And people say to us all the time, yeah, but do people actually buy these houses? I mean, it's very different to see this beautiful house on Instagram. And it's very different than just actually moving there and fixing it up. So we are proud to say that tonight's episode is proof in the pudding that it can be done. And this is a really special home.
I was surprised. I thought his wife was going to pick the other house. I feel like she was leaning towards that other one.
I think she was very swayed by the manageability and the practicality of that one. But Enrique, I think the pull of his father's love for this other home and what his father taught him about appreciating historical details, which is something that it's just in our blood to do. It was really the right fit.
Now, Enrique is also a builder. And he's familiar with a lot of the construction stuff. What's an advantage and disadvantage of having one of the owners be so familiar?
I think some of the advantages are, Enrique, we had many conversations, Enrique and us, and one of the conversations was this was going to be a lot longer of a project for him, if it hadn't been for us coming into the project. For example, the roof, he was really thinking about doing this himself. And it's a massive roof, and he is a builder, but he knew um, the first thing that you really should do when you take on a cheap old house is really keep it sealed from the elements, keep the water out. That's the most important thing. And there were areas where there was massive rot and issues in the roof. And so we were able to bring out a team. I was looking at a picture of it today, about 10 people on the roof getting this done in 1 or 2 days, and really solidifying this house and making sure that there were not going to be any water issues in there. So he really appreciated, we know, the fact that he didn't have to go on the roof. Megan didn't have to worry about him going on the roof and worrying about his children. He was able to have a team help him take on this cheap old house. And it's just really special because this would have taken him a whole summer potentially to do. And he was able to do it in a few days and have peace of mind, for their new family home.
And one of the things we like to educate people about on this show is old houses are never finished. And even on this show, we get people in the door. A house like this is going to be years in the making to make it the perfect home. We get people started and in the door and make it livable for them. So it's really nice to know that this house is going to be in the hands of Enrique, who is going to be such a good steward of this house, and he will be able to continue the work that we started and improve upon it for years to come. So having him is amazing. There are probably other circumstances where we would hand off a house to someone and just say, we hope for the best, but with him, we know this is going to work out.
What's one of the things that you look for that when it comes to the old homes, old buildings, that the first thing each one of you look at, where you're like, okay, it has the potential?
Character, character, character. I think our Instagram feed has become famous because we show the things that real estate agents generally don't show. I suppose I care about the number of bedrooms, but I really care about the number of fireplaces and mantles and pocket doors. And I think those are things that our audience absolutely loves to see. So we're always looking, we're less concerned in the condition of the house and more concerned that it hasn't been gutted and stripped of its character, because the condition that can be fixed. But once things have been taken out of a house, it's harder to bring it back to its original character.
Yeah, sometimes these houses don't have as much of a chance because some people see them as a tear down or as a major project. Well, we see them as a way to get in this wild homeowner, this wild housing crisis that we're sort of in terms of having cheap and affordable homes. And this house is built of some of the most quality materials we've ever seen. And it was $125,000. To redo the staircase alone would be
You couldn't
50, 60, it
you
would
couldn't
be.
even consider replicating this staircase for the price of this house. It's so spectacular.
See, I always think how much you're going to have to invest. And because of also the surprises you're going to come across while you're trying to redo plumbing, because they're older homes.
Well, the average price of a home in America right now, the average price is nearly $500,000. This house was $125,000, and it's already spectacular from the get-go. So even investing $400,000 into it, you're still about average, and you have yourself a spectacular mansion that's custom to the way you want it, one of a kind, and you've gotten to make it exactly as you want it versus buying something that someone else flipped or put in a builder-grade kitchen or something that you don't want that they just put in for saleability. And, on so many levels, having a low closing cost allows you so much more time. Although for the purposes of the show, we do these restorations quickly to inspire people, most people who buy these houses, they live in their kitchen for several years while they save money to restore it. And so it is much more affordable in the long run. Also, I would rather do work on a historical building that's built with quality materials that once you repair them will last forever versus a brand new build that might be built with, the cheap plywood that you can get today that isn't going to last as long. So these houses were built to last, and with maintenance and care, they can last a very long time.
That is so true. I'm in LA, walking around Sherman Oaks neighborhood. You see so many people, so many developers buying the homes, the lots, demolish the home, and then they start building brand new ones. And you can see, the same structure, the same everything. And then you're looking at the material, and it's like, wow, like I don't know construction, but that material just does not look strong.
Yeah, no, the old growth wood that a lot of these homes were built with is significantly stronger by nature than the newer, products that we can build with. So it really is, there's obvious value in the actual price, but there is that inherent value in the quality as well.
Now tell me about the success and the popularity you guys have. I actually learned about you during COVID. I remember my ex brought up your Instagram post. I look at these houses; they're so cheap. Do you think people really buy them? It was at that question, like you said right now. And then when this was pitched, I was like, wow, I get to actually talk to the people behind all this popularity. So how has it felt? How has it changed for you?
It's funny. We definitely did well during COVID, but we actually got popular before COVID, which is interesting. I think in any economy and in any situation, it's always a good idea to live beneath your means, which is what we promote here. So even before COVID, people couldn't afford houses. And then during it was a whole different issue because people were suddenly moving and snatching up houses and people wanted to get out of the cities that were so overpriced. Now people are moving back and it's still kind of maintained its popularity. So I think for us, it shows us how very evergreen and sustainable what we're doing is, because it's like you always want cheap gas no matter what, right? You always want to pay less for something. And I think that it's the same with houses. These houses, no matter what's going on in the world, these houses have character and value that people appreciate.
Now, besides your Instagram of cheap old houses, you also have a cheap old houses secret one. So for those that are paid subscribers, so what kind of secrets should they be signing up for?
So we have 4 email newsletters that people can subscribe to. So there's a secret Instagram feed that we show many more cheap old houses on. But if you sign up for a newsletter, you're also able to get cheap old houses abroad, which is houses all around all around the world. And that's houses in Paris or Italy, or not Paris, sorry.
Probably not Paris.
In France, in Italy, in Romania, or in Portugal. So you can kind of dream about where you might want a cheap old house. And these are amazing fixer-upper houses that, it's mind-blowing what some of these abroad houses are. We also have cheap old farmhouses, and ultra cheap old houses, so only houses under $25,000. So these are newsletters that come out every week, and we scan the whole internet for all of these amazing deals for you on your behalf, so you don't have to. So we love them, and people have found cheap old houses on our Instagram feed, but they've also emailed us about houses that they find on our newsletters. We just had someone email us 2 or 3 days ago saying they bought a cheap old house in Greece and they showed us the restoration pictures. So it's really an amazing privilege, honestly, for us to be able to share these historic treasures with people and to have them appreciate them so much.
And so maybe you already have one house abroad, but if you don't, where would you want to go and build another dream home?
Where would we want to go abroad? It's funny. I would love to have a house abroad. I personally am attracted to the Scandinavian farmhouses, which to me I just absolutely love. I have to say though, I think our heart are in this country, are in the small towns that are so often overlooked in favor of a handful of overpriced cities. And I think one of the great things about this show is that we've been able to showcase some towns very local to where I grew up, which is where we live now, um, that people just have not taken a chance on, but are desperate to have people come in and invest a little bit of money on just to clean up. And it's not an extensive amount of money. We're not looking to change these towns. And, we love what they are, but a little bit of an investment could go a long way in some of these places to help small businesses stay alive, to help beautify the main streets, and to really just bring people back to them. And I think for people to have other options for work other than feeling stuck in, the center of New York City and LA and some places that just frankly for so much of this country are totally unaffordable, I think is a really good thing. So I don't know. I think cheap old houses abroad is for dreamers, and it's for people, and a lot of people buy them. It's amazing. I think at its heart, cheap old houses is very much about America and what the American dream means to us.
But you did get me thinking, actually, Nancy, because I don't think about this. My grandmother's from Quito, Ecuador, and it's a UNESCO like World Heritage Site. It's really cool. Like
we do a lot of crying.
Well, because it would be really cool to like what if I could get my grandmother's house in Quito? It's probably, she like had, all this these amazing like stories about her house, and it's just cool to think about. And it's such an old city. We don't focus that much at all on like South America really in this abroad newsletter, but there's really so many places in the world that you can kind of look at and focus on. And I think you know uh being an expat's one thing, but I think every single culture sort of needs to be taught that we need to appreciate the things that are the antiques and the old things that came before us.
So you're not covering Mexico right now?
I don't think we have many Mexico because number one, we have to have old, right? So
Well,
um
Mexico has
Mexico
quite a
obviously has
bit
a
of
lot of
old.
right. But that's sort of our first, and we happen to be focused primarily on Europe. Um, but that's not to say, I mean, Canada is sort of like our like main priority. But we were just in India, and we were looking at all the houses. We were like, oh my gosh, this would be so cool. Like, and we're like pointing out these old houses that are being completely neglected, these Havelis. And yeah, no, it's very cool because all across the globe there are these houses.
Mhm. Well, I was asking about Mexico because then in that case, I'm gonna sign on and then I'm gonna be looking because I feel like that's the market where I could see the light at the end of the tunnel at this point. I'm Mexican,
Right.
so that's why.
Right. Well, no, maybe you're inspiring us to focus a little bit on South American countries and look first before we even put out a newsletter. But
Yeah.
it's very cool.
Well, thank you so much for your time and thank you for selling us America the right way.
Aw, you're very welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you. You take care.
Thank you, Nancy.
Bye.